For 500 years, one empire ruled the known world. Roads that still exist today, laws that still govern us, a language that still shapes every word you speak. Then in 476 AD, it was gone. But what if it wasn't? What if Rome never fell? What if the greatest empire in human history had kept going and the world we live in today was built on its foundation? What if then would? At its peak, the Roman Empire stretched from Scotland to Mesopotamia, from the Sahara to the Rhine. Over 70 million people, a quarter of the world's population, lived under Roman rule. They built 50,000 miles of roads, aqueducts that carried fresh water to cities of 1 million people, a legal system so advanced that it forms the backbone of law in over 150 countries today. Then came the cracks, overextension, political corruption, a military that couldn't hold the borders, economic collapse driven by currency debasement, Rome's version of inflation. And in 476 AD, the last Roman emperor, a teenager named Romulus Augustulus, was quietly removed from power by a Germanic chieftain named Odoacer. Not with a bang, with paperwork. And what followed was 1,000 years of darkness, the medieval period, where literacy collapsed, trade collapsed, and life expectancy dropped by decades. It's 376 AD. The Visigoths are at the Danube, fleeing the Huns from the east. In our timeline, Rome lets them cross, and it's a disaster. The Visigoths eventually sack Rome itself in 410 AD. In our alternate timeline, Rome handles the crisis differently. A capable emperor, imagine a Marcus Aurelius-level leader, negotiates a proper integration. The Germanic tribes become Roman citizens, not invaders. Their military strength reinforces the empire instead of destroying it. The Huns are repelled, the borders hold. The empire doesn't split, or if it does, it reunites within a generation. Rome stabilizes, and the medieval Dark Ages never happen. Here's what most people don't realize about the moon landing. The technology it created didn't stay in space. Here's what 2026 looks like if Rome never fell. The Renaissance, which happened in our timeline around 1400 AD because scholars rediscovered ancient Roman and Greek texts, happens 800 years earlier, because those texts were never lost. The scientific revolution, which gave us physics, chemistry, and the foundation of modern medicine, arrives in the year 900 instead of 1600. By that timeline, we reach our level of technology somewhere around the year 1200. Think about what that means. We could be 800 years more advanced than we are today. No Black Death, because Roman medicine and sanitation never collapsed. No crusades, because the religious fracturing that caused them never happened. No world wars, because the nation-states that fought them may never have formed. One unified civilization, one legal system, one infrastructure, spanning from Britain to Baghdad. The Industrial Revolution happens in Roman times. Steam power, then electricity, then, who knows? But here's the uncomfortable flip side. No fall of Rome means no rise of Christianity as we know it. The religion spread partly because Rome fell. No Islam either, which rose in the power vacuum Rome left in the Middle East. 2 billion Christians and 2 billion Muslims in this alternate world may never exist. No nation-states means no democracy as we practice it. Rome was a republic, then an empire, not a democracy. The freedoms we take for granted today grew out of the chaos that followed Rome's collapse. And here's the hardest truth. Sometimes collapse creates space for something better to grow. The Dark Ages were dark, but they were also the soil that grew the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and eventually, us. Every week we ask 7 questions. What if? And this week's answer might be the most unsettling yet. The greatest empire in history fell, and somehow that might have been exactly what the world needed. That's what if then would. Tell us in the comments, do you think we'd be better off if Rome had survived? And subscribe, because next week We ask the question nobody else is asking.